match from...
Local politics now, just ahead of the municipal election. The Democratic Alliance here in Gauteng has revealed its two mayoral candidates for Johannesburg and Pretoria. The candidates are promising to do things differently in their respective councils should their party win against ANC-run municipalities. DA leader Helen Zille was on hand to make the announcement.
Tell the press corps and the public of South Africa, to whom you will soon become a household name, who is Mmusi Maimane and what is his vision for the future?
Madume, it's an unbelievable honor to be invited to serve as the mayoral candidate in Johannesburg, such a significant city. I am a proud Sowetan. I grew up in Soweto. My parents still reside in Soweto. I live in Johannesburg.
Part of his vision is to ensure Burg never experiences a billing crisis, nor undermine its residents.
I think we need to make sure that we create a government that is accountable to our people. I think you will learn very clearly that even in the billing crisis, the mayor was very slow to respond to our people. And I think in the change over coming up now, we have to ensure that we speak to our people, we speak in their language, that they understand that we are their government, we are servants of our people, as opposed to the other way around.
The candidate for the Tshwane municipality wants to create a self-sufficient community.
It's very important to me because I grew up in Pretoria. I've lived my entire life there, and the city is very close to my heart. My passion has always lain in community service around entrepreneurial development. My belief strongly is that you cannot help people, you need to help them help themselves.
The two candidates were elected on Day 9. The DA says the two embody the principles and values that define the party's open opportunity society for all. Olumgambi News, Johannesburg.
Well, joining us now on Newsnight, you saw him in that report, Mmusi Maimane, who's the DA's mayoral candidate for the city of Johannesburg. Mr. Maimane, good evening to you and welcome, and with the greatest of respect, who are you? You're not a well-known politician. We know that you were born in Soweto, but we know little else.
Thank you so much. And before I get on to this interview, may I send my condolences to the people of Japan and that nation there and their devastation that they're going through. About myself, as I've said, I grew up in Soweto. I have been an activist in communities that all the way in the West Rand, have been living in Johannesburg, been involved in business, have been involved with doing leadership training, change management. I head up a few NGOs that do social development in communities, and really been involved in multiple areas, or politically a member of the DA, and that's been my journey.
So it's a rich pedigree, but you have no elected experience as a political official, and that, I would suggest, puts you at a disadvantage.
It's certainly at one level. You know, experience is an important thing when it comes to politics. May I cite the fact that Helen Zille, when she was appointed mayor of Cape Town, actually hadn't been an elected official prior to that, and proceeded to win the International Mayor Award. I also want to cite the fact that if we really want to transform our government, I think we need to be willing to try new things. We need to invite competence to come back into administration. And I think, having been in the role of opposition, I think it's fair to say that many of our elected officials would not have the sort of experience that would be required to run the city. You know, and so I bring a certain level of competence and attraction to the city.
I accept that, but surely someone with a higher political profile would have served the country's biggest metro better.
Jeremy, that's part of the problem with what we're facing now within the ANC, is that when you look at cadre deployment, is that it rewards exactly that. It looks for high profiles, it looks for people who maybe have got political patronage, and rewards them. The Democratic Alliance is arguing the fact that, wait, hang on, let's look for the best skills. I'm completing a master's in public administration. I believe I bring leadership skills that are required for the city. And so these are the skills I'm wanting to take forward in running for mayoral candidate.
One negative tweet that I saw this afternoon said simply, you are a useful blackface.
It isn't. It's a sad reality that tweets like that still exist in our democracy, because that's a race card. That's when people sit back and say, well, let's decide our politics on the basis of race. We have to mature our democracy. We have to ensure that people vote on the issues rather than on the race. And so I want to respond to that by saying, I want to invite the public of South Africa to interrogate my competence, to look at how well we can deliver in the city, and respond to that, rather than allowing the current government to remind us of the fact that let's vote on race, let's decide politics on the basis of color.
You're fighting against a political party that is well entrenched in the city. How do you plan to get people on May the 18th to change their crosses?
I think you'd get the sense if you're walking the streets of Sandton, Soweto, Zandspruit, Houghton, you'd discover that people are disillusioned. I think many of us as residents of Johannesburg are starting to get the feeling that things aren't working according to plan. There is that sense anyways. We're dealing with a number of crises. The fact that you and I drive around and are experiencing endless potholes, the fact that our bills are poorly mismanaged, the fact that our city has failed continuously to manage our finances is reason enough for people to see that there is need for change.
And I would suggest to you that's the right message to take to Sandton, but is that the right message to take to Diepsloot? And are people in Diepsloot going to cross from the ANC to the Democratic Alliance?
Undoubtedly.
You have an uphill battle.
Of course, and I appreciate that. But when you walk, I was in Diepsloot the other day, coincidentally. Walking around, you realize that people are unemployed, people are poor, and yet they voted for the same government that they've had for the last 16 years of democracy. And I think those people, those are part of my core convictions, in that let's do something for the poor.
What makes you think they're going to be any different this time around?
What, you mean the people, or you mean...
The people who have continually voted for the ANC, why are they going to change now?
I think...
The Democratic Alliance is in many ways seen as an entrenched white party, in spite of all the efforts that you put to the contrary.
Jeremy, the last voter registration weekend had 1 million registered voters. 80% of them were under the age of 30. These are young people who perhaps maybe don't have patronage, they don't have race issues. And that's part of the target group coming into the next election, that we say, how do we engage those young people? How do we invite them to vote about their future? And then equally so, I believe that the Democratic Alliance is now a party of government, as opposed to just an opposition party. And when you look at what's happening in Cape Town, when you look at the municipality of Midvaal, you can cite examples of service delivery. And I think for ordinary South Africans, whether they're in Zandspruit, whether they're in Soweto, those are the things they want the most. They want running water, they want streets that work, they want drainage that works, and they want the government they can trust.
Is this going to be an election on the issues, or are you going to go negative?
It is certainly an election about delivery. And the issue central to municipal elections is about delivery, and that's what this election is about. That's what I'm bringing to the table, to the discussion. I want us to focus on delivery and making sure that our people get better, because they deserve better. Thank you very much for joining us here on Newsnight, the Democratic Alliance's mayoral candidate for Johannesburg, Mmusi Maimane. Let's give you sport now on Newsnight. Here's Michael McKenna.